You know that song that goes, what the hell, what the helly, what the helly on? That's what I'm feeling like right now after hearing from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. Okay, so you guys may have seen this 2020 coming up on Friday. It's called Idaho Justice. We saw a bunch of Bryan Kohberger selfie photos in this preview. This preview was posted. Okay, so they posted it and Latah County didn't give it to them. Did not give them these photos. I was like, oh, I wasn't going off on them, but I was like sending a sharply worded email to the prosecutor's office after so many public records requests. Okay, so ABC 2020 has a 2-hour special called Idaho Justice coming up. So it says you can watch it on ABC, stream it on Hulu, Disney Plus, all new. It's about the University of Idaho murders. What don't you know? What haven't you seen? This stunning, all new 2020 2-hour event, Idaho Justice, premieres this Friday night. So I guess that's 2 nights from now. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd as I film this. Hopefully I'll get it straight up without much editing. 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central on CBS. I'm sorry, on ABC. I'm tired. I've been to the gym, doing almost 3 miles on the treadmill. Whew, it's been a while since I worked out. Been working so much. So you can stream it on Hulu, Disney Plus, but that's the promo video. It dropped yesterday, Tuesday, September 2nd, nearly 3 p.m., 2:47 p.m. on Facebook, and that short video has swelled. Last time I checked it, it was 6.7 million views over on Facebook alone. I've linked to that video, that short promo video below. It's probably up to, who knows, 10 million views by now. So I was like, wow, these are selfie photos we've never seen. You know, first you see all the victims, the Idaho 4, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan, great photos. You see flowers, you know, you see like the memorial, I think it's in front of U of I somewhere. And then you see these shocking selfies we've never seen before. Bryan, really close up, you can really see his blue eyes. His lips are kind of pursed in one, kind of like my mom used to do that. They're really pursed. And he has his headphones on, and it very clearly, up in the top left-hand corner, says Latah County Prosecutor's Office. I was like, what the hell? What the helly? Okay, another one. He's wearing kind of a teal shirt. Once again, it's in the bathroom. I just really realized his haircut is a little different. The lighting is different, so you can't really see as much of the blueness of his eyes as in the other photo. Again, Latah County Prosecutor's Office. One of them, he's looking dead ahead in front of the camera. I guess that's his American Psycho stance. Same shirt in front of that shower curtain, very clean bathroom. It just looks creepy, but one of them looks even creepier. Latah County Prosecutor's Office, okay? And then we have one, his eyes look a little creepy too. He has on kind of like a zip up, you know, one of those zip up, and maybe it's a late night hike or something he took, who knows? His nose looks a little red, but his eyes look red too, so it's like that flash, you know, when your eyes turn a little red. So maybe it's late at night, I don't know. He has a little bit of scruff, more than a 5 o'clock shadow, little mustache, his lips pursed again, I'm noticing. You know, they call that lip swallowing. I've done that, and I know Chris Watts used to do that. People often do that. They have something to say, but they kind of hold it in. I mean, his aren't totally like, but they're kind of still pursed. I noticed he's not really smiling in any of these selfies. It's no thumbs up. I don't know what they're dated, but again, Latah County Prosecutor's Office. Where would someone assume they got these photos? And then there's a different one, the one that's, again, lighter. Looks like there could be maybe a little sweat on his shirt. Maybe he just came from a hike or a run. And you can see his blue eyes better, lips still pursed, headphones still in. Latah County Prosecutor's Office. He's in better lighting, so it might not be the bathroom. The creepiest one, it's so clear. I didn't know they had photos this clear. When he has that hoodie on, and it's weird, it doesn't, I know it's a hoodie, but the way it kind of shapes on his head, it looks even creepier. I don't even want to really look at it. This is the creepy one you don't even want to look at. But the way, okay, it's giving me a vibe of the Handmaid's Tale kind of shape or something. It's the way this hoodie is shaped on his head. It's kind of gray. He's staring directly into the camera. It's weird how his eyes look a little bit grayer, or they definitely don't look blue. This is totally reminding me of Ted Bundy. Remember, I did that video and people talked about how Ted Bundy's eyes truly seem to change colors. Well, I know they say, you know, people with different color eyes, sometimes they might look a little hazel, they might look a little blue. Some people do believe their eyes change color with the weather or with what they wear, but I've heard it's also our perception. Like a person with blue or hazel or ish or greenish eyes, if they're wearing something blue, it might seem like their eyes are bluer. Who knows? This one looks creepy to me. I see the light, the way it's, you know, that circular light, but I'm not sure what room he's in there. But the way he's just looking down at that camera is so creepy. And then another photo, Latah County Prosecutor's Office, of course. I guess it's kind of winsome. He doesn't have his hoodie on. He has a zip-up thingy, you know, jacket, and his hoodie is back. Okay, and his hair is kind of, you know, styled, I guess, nicely, and his bushy eyebrows are ever present. And he's kind of looking a little off center, I would say, not like directly, like I'm trying to look directly at that green light on my iPhone. He looks like he's looking a little bit off center on that one. And it's almost like he's trying to smile in this one too. Like maybe a little, you see a little upturn. So when was that? My goodness. Okay, so once I saw that, I was like, what the hell? Because all these public records requests I've put in, all these denials I've gotten. So I was like, look, I know I've put in tons, at least, you know, the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, I've sent them emails, and I sent them my strongly worded email today, trying to be nice, but I was like going back through all these emails. What did they tell me? Denial for one, but then for another one, you know, I asked for a bunch of releasable case file stuff. They had told me it was overly broad. I don't know what it was, but I'm like, wait a minute. Latah County gave ABC this? So I wrote to them today asking them, all right, previously you sent me this, you're denying me, you know, I wrote it very professionally, everything you could request. And, you know, some of these organizations, not necessarily Latah, but some of them, they kind of play ping pong, throwing you all around like, we're not the custodian of that, or we're not the custodian of this, contact them. You contact them and they say contact them and contact them. And, you know, it's just a game of whatever you call that. But Latah very clearly told me today, the prosecutor's office said, our office has been made aware that photographs, specifically of Bryan Kohberger, are being advertised by American Broadcasting Company, ABC, as being released from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. Our office did not provide these photographs of Bryan Kohberger or any others to ABC, despite the attribution. Latah County, including our office, is not the custodian for these photographs pursuant to Idaho Code blank, blank, blank. Any photographs for which Latah County is the custodian have been made available on the Latah County website at latahcountyid.gov. Our office recommends you contact the City of Moscow and or the FBI for further assistance. Good luck with that. So I'm like, okay, why does ABC have clearly Latah County Prosecutor's Office on these photos as if that's where they got them from? I will choose to trust these attorneys, and I'm not blaming ABC for anything either. I like to stay lawsuit, litigation free when I can, even though we're going to talk about should a lawyer sue for Bryan Kohberger's, not the arrest video, if it even exists, but especially for his interview videos, they keep denying. And then I've got updates on some other stuff coming. All right. If Latah isn't the custodian for these photographs, does that mean they don't have them at all? Like, I'm trying to remember who prosecuted this case. Wait, it moved to Ada County, and I'm trying to remember, but then who becomes the custodian? I don't know. At this point, I'm just like, who has the freaking pictures? And why is this so shady? You know, why, remember the Dateline leaks how Dateline had all that info, maybe some they got right, you know, all that info, so much so that it was like, oh, someone's leaking information. So what's going on? Is someone leaking information to ABC? How do you legally go about accessing photos in the Bryan Kohberger case of him? And when I wrote to Latah County, I was like, I'm not talking about crime scene photos. I'm talking about these photos of Bryan Kohberger, clearly by ABC, huge ABC. I mean, millions of people just watched this promo video. I'm sure they're going to be inundated with requests. They probably already are. So they're like, maybe everyone's yelling at them. I hope not. I didn't yell at them. I don't like to, you know, be mean to people. Anyway, where are these photos? Are there more of them? I know there were those experts, you know, those Celebrite experts. They've been talking to Ashley Banfield, some great interviews with them, you know, letting her know Bryan Kohberger had received an email from his mom, or his mom had sent him, texted him or whatever, a link to the Idaho 4 murders. Allegedly, he spoke to his mom quite a bit. Anyway, his mom sent him that article about, you know, Xana, something about Xana in the Idaho 4, you know, murders. And allegedly he didn't respond in text, you know, in their text messages that they could find. Anyway, why did I start talking about that Celebrite couple? I don't know. It was really good. Where am I going with this? They talked about, this is where I'm going, they talked about Bryan Kohberger taking tons of selfies, like the shirtless ones, and, you know, trying to really focusing on his appearance. And, you know, I got to give it to him. I'm no Kohberger fan, once again. I am not a fan of his, but he does look, okay, creepy in those creepy photos, but to me, he looked good. He could have gotten a girlfriend. I guess it was his personality. That's what I was thinking driving over. Like if he could have just gotten along with women, I felt like he could have gotten a great girlfriend, and, you know, maybe he wouldn't have been like such a lonely person. Like if his time was distracted, if he was hiking with girls, or if he could go on a date, or, you know, then maybe his mind wouldn't have been so, you know, is he focused on, I hate women, or I hate what I'm going through at WSU, and how dare they want to fire me, I'm going to lose everything, and, you know, concocting this plan. Could he have been distracted by love? But he was probably just, I don't know, the kind of person that no one could get along with, really, it seems. Or was he just robotic? Was he just devoid of that sensitivity chip, you know, like Jennifer Aniston called it? Does he not have something in there, you know what I mean, that makes him human? I know he's human, but empathetic. And so my whole point is, this is sketchy. This is all sketchy. It almost makes me want to give up on writing these long public records, but I'm not. I mean, I went back through, I saw what the jail gave me. You know, I requested a lot from the Idaho Department of Corrections. I can't remember if I loaded this to Patreon or not. They only gave me like 4 documents, very short, his sentence calculation worksheet, just the photo, his mugshot, which we've seen with that LL for large on there, some move out date, which was July 23rd, 2025, and this 8-page judgment of conviction and commitment. So maybe if I have a link to that to Patreon, I'll put that below. I also tried to get information from, Latah County, because he spent time there. Oh, these places. That's a whole nother fight. In the meantime, Moscow, I told you I love them. They've been updating me. They have told me a little bit more about other interviews we are looking for. Moscow told me, and I need to call them back and pay for these. They said at this time, the interviews with Dylan Mortensen, Hunter Johnson, and Josie Latah, have been paid for by another requester. Hallelujah, don't you love when that happens? The city may still charge a requester who is not a resident or an employee of a resident as defined by this Idaho Code for duplication of computer-based digital references. So I need to call and pay them for those, just the duplication fee, which is still like $30 each, like nearly $100. And then I must have requested an interview with Lyndon Beck, which I gotta remember who the heck he is. I believe it's a he. So in 2020, we're going to hear, this should be interesting, from Jason Labar. Now, he's the Monroe County Public Defender. He was responsible just for Bryan's extradition hearing when he got arrested, back in December 2022. He echoed some of the same sentiments he did when he gave an interview about Bryan. Back then, Jason said Bryan was shocked that he was arrested. I was like, still driving over, listening to Ashley Banfield. And I was like, why was Bryan shocked that he was arrested? I was just thinking this over, still wanting to get back to that huge document I need to read through. There's just so many updates, so many cases, but I wanted to get this out here. Why would Bryan be shocked that he was arrested? Maybe Bryan's mind, it couldn't have been, but was it stuck back in the olden days of, someone like Ted Bundy could get away with so many killings because we didn't have GPS, cell phone towers, on DNA, all this stuff we have now, even in BTK killer's time or whatever. Even in that, what is that guy's name who sat in his car? We went over all his YouTube videos, the Retribution, that good looking guy that Bryan studied, Elliot Rodger. Even just as long ago as that was not that long ago, but still technology increases in leaps and bounds every year, every month. Why was Bryan shocked he was arrested? Like, it wasn't clicking. Did he believe he had committed the perfect crime? In certain respects, maybe Bryan did because of the lack of, blood evidence. I don't think they ever found, any of the Idaho 4s, they didn't find their blood in his apartment or in his car or whatever. So maybe he was so focused on that the little things like the DNA on the under button of the sheath, stuff like that, maybe he didn't realize it would catch him so quickly, or he really thought he was smarter than he was. So many people have called him intelligent, like Jason called Bryan Kohberger intelligent. But there was one guy who worked with, was it Dr. Snyder? I think it was Dr. Snyder, the one who bumped heads so much with Bryan Kohberger. I believe it was him who said Bryan really wasn't as smart as he thought he was. And that's witnessed in some of Bryan's statements. So remember back in the day, Bryan Kohberger worked with and helped craft this statement, his first statement, I guess, after he was arrested. Jason talked to WNEP. He was saying Bryan was pretty calm. He was an intelligent person when he was arrested. They spoke. Bryan helped craft this statement saying he was eager to be exonerated, which is the wrong word. A guy going for his PhD in criminology should know not to use that word. And that proved to me, okay, yeah, he wasn't as smart as he thought. So in the criminal justice system, exonerated refers to the official clearing of a person previously convicted of a crime after new evidence proves their innocence. Whoa. Did Bryan think he would be convicted of this crime, which he has been because he entered his guilty plea? And does he believe new evidence will come out and prove his innocence? If you talk to your average Kohberger, they'll say yes. But I was like, Bryan was just trying to sound smart and like a criminal law expert, but perhaps he really meant to say he would be acquitted. Obviously he had not been convicted of the Idaho 4 murders, so why would he be eager to be exonerated? It doesn't make sense. In the U.S. legal system, an acquittal is a formal verdict that the prosecution failed to prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. So I think that's what he meant to say, like, I'm eager to be acquitted. Exoneration goes further, meaning the defendant has been officially proven innocent of the crime. But that definition says exoneration involves a previous conviction. So a person can be acquitted without being exonerated. I guess kind of like O.J. Simpson, huh? So anyway, during Jason's interview with host Chris Cuomo back then, he was asked, about that statement Bryan said, and Jason, a lawyer, even he had to clear it up. Now, Jason's going to be on the new 2020, and so we'll see what else he says about Bryan. But Jason said back then, Bryan said he was eager to be exonerated, which I believed him to mean that he believed he was innocent. Boy, isn't that lawyer speak? I believed him to mean that he believed he was innocent. I wasn't judging the case at that point in time. I didn't have the affidavit of probable cause. I knew none of the facts, and I didn't ask Bryan about any of the facts or circumstances surrounding the case either. So Jason knows much more, as we all do now. We've seen much more. We sit here on September 3rd, 2025. What's he going to say now that Bryan is over there serving time? It'll be interesting. This is heartbreaking too. Kaylee's family is demanding Bryan Kohberger's body cam videos, arrest videos, whatever. So September 1st, this was just Monday on Labor Day, 10:24 p.m. on Facebook, the Gonzalez family page posted this: "Enough is enough. Redacted or not, the body cam footage and photos are absolutely traumatizing." And that's really, I can't imagine. It really is making me think more. I didn't publish any of those crime scene photos when they first came out. They were inside, I guess, the bedrooms, and it was all blurred. But I know that was still upsetting, and I never published any of those that, we saw around a lot of places. Even I did end up requesting and paying for the body cam video footage because I know a lot of that. The bedrooms are blacked out and they're blurred all over the place and truly redacted. A lot of names are redacted. I even took pains to not publish Bryan's car photos. Okay, you remember I published his car photos, but I had to crop them because there was a mattress in the back. A lot of people pointed out. I wondered if it was Ethan's mattress. Other people think it might have been, I don't know, the girls upstairs, one of their mattresses. But you could tell, even though it had a sheet over it or something, you could tell it had been soaked, in red liquid. So I took pains to crop that out of it and only show Bryan's car. Her family is saying that's Kaylee's house, her bathroom, her chair, her dog, her friends' voices that are crying. I mean, that part, yeah. Law enforcement officers heavily breathing and sighing at what they are looking at. It's true. I mean, I heard Officer Nunez, he's only 22. I mean, he's like Hunter Johnson's age, at least back then. And I left in the cuss words because so many other words were redacted. When I got the body cam video raw, I wanted to hear what they were saying. And there were cuss words because he was just like, just overcome. So I get it. That is her friends' voices. It's a lot. It's kind of like you're in the middle between okay, I want to report this, but I don't want to hurt people. What do? You walk a fine line. But I liked when they said, let's see the body cam of when the FBI and Pennsylvania Commonwealth arrested him. Believe me, I'm trying. Before kicking down his doors with guns drawn. Where's that footage? Oh, wait, let me guess. That's a violation of some sort of right that he has. Yes, that's what they're kind of telling me. Yet Kaylee has zero rights. Look at her picture. Where are her rights? Her family is still here. Where are our rights? I gave birth to her, so obviously her mom must have written this. Gonzalez Army of Love Forever, Kaylee Jade Forever. I don't blame her. Why is it so fair game to release so much crime info about the victims? I understand why that's released, and even in Moscow, and with Karen Laramie's lawsuit, Maddie's mom, they're trying to figure out, I think, how to do things more tactfully. Of course, we'll never see, certain photos we don't want to see. You know, I even read on Reddit, someone was saying like, oh, someone requested the death notification videos or something. And I'm like, what? I don't know if that's true. I know I have put in public records requests for the Gonzalez family, anyone, you know, responding there, because the Gonzalez family talked about some nut jobs, you know, in the wake of this crime who have harassed them. So I wanted to get those body cam videos, like, okay, who's coming to their house? This victim's family, they're already suffering. Who's coming to their house bothering them? I did request those, but there was basically nothing. The stuff I received, I never even published or did anything with. It was just like old incident reports or something from before. I don't even think it was the Gonzalez family. Whatever. I was looking for, you know, are there pro-burgers going to their house and screaming at them? And because I heard of incidents at, you know, Kaylee's house that people were bothering them and the cops had to be called. So I don't know if they're just holding that back or if they have the video footage or if they don't want to release it. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what's happening in anything. How can we get these agencies to release Bryan Kohberger's body cam arrest videos, if they even exist? Supposedly they don't exist. I don't know if I believe all that. And, you know, the Kohberger interview videos that definitely exist. You may have seen my fight. I'm all on Twitter like, Pennsylvania State Police denied me Bryan Kohberger's arrest videos, and Moscow PD, love them by the way, say they aren't the custodian of the requested record. I wish one person could just be the custodian, you know, so it wouldn't be all this back and forth. I'm like, anyone know a lawyer who specializes in fighting a Commonwealth to release public records not available to public? Yeah, like, why is Bryan Kohberger's stuff not available to public? I know there's a 60-day deadline. For example, when they arrested Kohberger, what was that, December 30th, 2022. They brought him over to those Pennsylvania barracks. The documents clearly state, yes, there was a camera running. I've been going back and forth about this. There was a camera running in that room. I mean, I have filled out the form. You know, I've certified mailed it. I've spent money to mail it over to Pennsylvania to get that video. Even if it's up in a corner somewhere, I was praying it would have great audio. So they're denying it because, okay, they're getting around it by that 60-day rule. You have 60 days to request this video. Well, okay, Bryan Kohberger was arrested December 30th, 2022. Nobody except law enforcement or whomever knew. They took him over to the Pennsylvania PSP barracks. We just learned this information. So how on earth, by whatever it would have been, March 1st, let's say, whatever 60 days is, March 1st, 2022 or later, no one knew the interview video existed who could request it. So how could I have requested it? You know, whatever. I know there's a lawyer who can argue this out. I hope the Gonzalez family, even if they started a GoFundMe, I mean, how much of a retainer? Lawyers tell me, I always think $10,000 in my brain, but lawyers tell me, how much of a retainer would it take to fight the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to get this video released? Because I just have a feeling in my gut it's going to get released one day. And people are so weird when they're like, oh, you're never going to get that. They're like, I was like, oh, did God put you on the throne? How do you know? It's so weird. Like way back in the day, this other YouTuber who's not on YouTube anymore, he was like, you're never going to get Nicole Kessinger's interview. You're fighting for it. You're never going to get it. Lo and behold, God allowed it to be released, you know, to the victim's family, as it should have been. So now this victim's family is fighting and asking, look, why are you guys so cool with releasing all this stuff from 1122 King Road house? But when it comes to Bryan, you know, and him being shocked or surprised or whatever at his arrest and whatever he was doing, we still don't know what he was doing. Someone said, remember, what authority was that? Some authority said, oh, they caught Bryan, you know, putting garbage in his neighbor's garbage cans, and they caught him putting his stuff, separating it into baggies. And it's like, who said that, and is that true? Because people are like, oh no, that's not true now. But we do hear okay, they broke through his parents' front door. He was arrested. He had his zip ties on in that photo, and his parents were even zip tied. So maybe that's why they don't want to show kind of like elderly people being zip tied. How rough were they? And who wouldn't have their body cams running during such an important event? Now, I know not everyone had body cams back in 2022, but a boatload of authorities responded. You can't tell me none of them had a camera running. No one even had an in-car dash running or what. I don't know what they have. They have stuff of Bryan, and in my heart of hearts, I feel it's going to be released. I just don't know how. Somebody might. There is some corruption sometimes. I'm not saying with any of these authorities, but I see it. I'm sure it happens. Someone who has access to it, just like whoever filmed Bryan in jail, somebody will probably get the arrest or interview footage over to TMZ for a pretty penny or something. Maybe we won't know who it is, but it'll get out somehow. I can just almost see it, like in my mind's eye. It's gonna get out. But maybe Kaylee's family could start, a different GoFundMe. They had all that support before because, we were going to be covering a trial and they wanted to go and people supported them. Okay, now since they want to see the body cam video of anything, the FBI or Pennsylvania has when they arrested Bryan, or definitely this interview video, maybe Kaylee's family can start another GoFundMe, or maybe a lawyer will take it on for them pro bono or something. It's just too much. I'm just like, goodness, I'm not a lawyer here. I'm not studying for the bar. That's how I felt today. I was talking to the Latah County Sheriff's Office. I was like requesting Kohberger's complete jail file, his video visits, his phone call audio, disciplinary records, approved visitors list. They're like, look, thanks for your request for info. The only info regarding Mr. Bryan Kohberger that is available to the public at this time can be located on the Latah County Sheriff's Office website. And then they gave me, that link, and I'm trying to remember what the heck was on there because I'm talking to so many different entities. You go there and then you go somewhere else due to high volume. And then all you see is this one page, Latah County Sheriff, booking summary, nothing, just charge disposition, his name, his booking number, white male, booking date, September 15th, 2024. Like, why is it, that's all we can release, about Bryan's jail time? And the same thing with these Pennsylvania interviews and arrest videos. Why is that such a fight? Anyway, my whole point of this video is, Lord, I pray in Jesus, Kaylee's family or someone can undertake the fight, get Bryan Kohberger's information out there. They have it. Some people are like, some entities, I hit the wrong entity, I'm like, okay, they don't have it. They don't have it. They don't have it. We're not custodian of it. Just because they're not custodian of it, sometimes I believe some places still have it. Anyway, Kaylee's family wants to see this body cam video footage and the interview footage. I hope they start a new GoFundMe. I will give to them. Or if they get a lawyer who's willing to take it on pro bono, who is an expert in suing commonwealths. Because I was like, oh my goodness, asking ChatGPT, how do I file an appeal? Because I have, 180 days or something to file this appeal in conformance, with the provisions of the Idaho Code Title, 74, Chapter 1 and the 4th Judicial District of Idaho in order to get Bryan Kohberger's jail file. How do I do that? And all the calls, and it's like this long answer. Like, you might as well be studying for the bar. And a template they gave me and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Anyway, let me close up here so I can get this video up tonight and you guys can see those Bryan Kohberger selfies, even though you've probably seen them. But where did they come from? Who? Was it really someone in the Latah County Prosecutor's office that, not an attorney or someone, or not the record holder or record supervisor or whatever? Was it someone that got those photos? And they're good-sized photos. That's what I was going to say about the Celebrite couple. They talked about the stuff they could recover from Bryan's phone. Was it them or Dateline? When these first showed up on Dateline, we're getting so many mixed answers. That's what it is. When some of these selfies showed up on Dateline, they said, oh, you only had the small version of the photo. That's why, they degrade it so much when you expanded them. Well, these aren't like that. Obviously, these photos are larger. So I was like, okay, where did these come from? And what else will we see? Who knows? I guess we just have to wait for it to be basically leaked, under the table. Hey, ABC, hey, Dateline, I got those Kohberger photos and files. And maybe that's the way his interview video will come out. Maybe that's the way his body cam video will come out. Lord only knows. But I believe it will come out one day. It's just I'm kind of over the games, especially when you spend as much time as I do, like crafting all these public record requests. And I'm like making sure I try and have everything correct and I send it to some wrong people. I get it wrong. And then they might lead me to, okay, there's the correct person. And then they'll deny me. And then I have to wait until the case is over and then finally get it. Whatever. If somebody's just greasing some palms and getting these photos, well, what can you say? Hebrews 7:21 through 22. For those Levites who formerly became priests received their office without its being confirmed by the taking of an oath, but this one was designated with an oath through the one who said to him, the Lord has sworn and will not change his mind or regret it. You, Christ, are a priest forever. And so because of the oath's greater strength and force, Jesus has become the certain guarantee of a better covenant, a more excellent and more advantageous agreement, one that will never be replaced or annulled. Don't forget, my plan is still to go back through and continue reading all these Idaho State Police interviews while I'm waiting for actual videos, while I need to go call Moscow back and pay for these next 3 interviews, even though she did tell me these 3 interviews, Dylan, Hunter, and who is it, Josie, she did tell me they will take a while. So even if I, can pay for it soon, it sounds like it's going to take a long time. She didn't want to say a long time, but, I know it takes time to edit videos and they have to, go through and take out. And they have to go through and take out all those names. They have to do the blurring. Blurring is really difficult. You'd be surprised. That's why some of these body cams I get, the blur is here and the person's like, whoop. It's difficult. Let me tell you, you do this tracking and all. Anyway, I know how long that takes. So don't expect that trio of interviews anytime soon. But let's all pray Kaylee's family can get their wish and maybe get some of Bryan Kohberger's stuff released, more of this stuff. At this point, I'm not going to say I give up, but it's just annoying. Writing all these public records requests, and I get it. Authorities have to follow the law. I'm not saying flout the law, but sometimes it seems like they're looking for any excuse just to deny you the stuff that's going to get out anyway. And why did ABC put Latah County Prosecutor's office over all these selfie videos if that's not who they got it from? They just don't want to say who they got it from? I don't know. ABC, it sounds like you're being challenged here. And will ABC come out and say where they actually got it from? Maybe not. This is just, whatever. You can tell I'm ready to go finish my sushi and some chocolate. But thank you so much for watching. I plan to continue to read from the interviews, still cover other cases. I thought that was actually Laken Snelling. I'm trying to get, that girl from University of Kentucky. I did a lot of information from her. So I thought, what is this? I thought that's what I was getting. Wait. Got something from IDOC. Huh? Okay, before we close out, breaking news. IDOC, their staff has searched and they did not locate any disciplinary records or visiting records responsive to my request. So they don't have any of Bryan Kohberger's visiting records or disciplinary records. Oh, a court order is required for release of other records. So their phone records, banking records, I didn't ask for that, medical records, some are exempt. So let's see what they did send me. Might as well before we close out here. That's cool, they were pretty quick. I feel like I just put that in. View files. Oh, okay, cool. Wait, some of this is the stuff I feel like I've already gotten, but I'll put it in there too. It's a zip file down, oh no, they're downloading all separately. Concern form, housing history, sentence calculation report. I feel like I already have that. But let's see what's the new stuff they gave me. Anything new? Breaking news, let's just see what we got here. Today, it's 8:01 p.m. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They gave me 7 PDFs. Oh, thank God. So the custody calculation, I think I had that before. And all we have is his Idaho Department of Correction housing history, move-in date, I love that, move-in date, July 29th, 2025 at 1:28 p.m. Move-out date, December 31st, 9999. I've seen that before, J Block, Idaho Maximum Security. And then he was in the medical facility. I think that was just briefly a facility transfer change reason. So this was from July 23rd to July 29th, 2025 at 10:45 a.m. Within the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, his bed was that medical. So I think that's the room where the video was leaked because it looked like, you know, a medical bed. It looked really big. So it's a facility transfer. Maybe he just went there first. Then we have a one-page custody order. It's talking about take him into custody. He's been sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole plus 10 years. And then again, we have the judgment of conviction and commitment. This is what I had gotten before from another entity. I don't think I've seen this before. Okay, it's more of Bryan Kohberger's resident concern form. So this is dated August 18th, 2025. To Sergeant Martin, thank you for the printouts and bubble sheet for commissary. Since August 7th, the issue has resolved and I have complete access to the kiosk system. No further action is needed. So Bryan must have had some kind of order with his commissary. I want to know what he's ordering. The reply was noted. If you have issues, you now have another way to order. I wonder what that other way is. Does he have like, you know, the iPad to order from? Okay, here's another resident concern form. This was dated August 13th, 2025 from Bryan Kohberger. I wonder, did he write this? Yeah, I guess so. It's so sloppy. To the J Block staff on shift. The issue concern is I put in a supply request and never received the supply bag. What does that say? FOIA? The something was turned. Oh my goodness. Day-night received by Officer Jackson. Tuned in. The FOIA was turned in. The form? Maybe the form was turned in? Saturday night received by Officer Jackson. What supply request did he put in? Okay, so the reply was, supply requests are typically filled on Sundays. I will check with staff regarding your supply request. I don't know what that was about. So hard to read his writing. Okay, Bryan needs some money, I think. Okay, this was dated back July 27th, 2025. It's going to IT Administration Captain Crower. Bryan's concern, I need access to the JPay system to access and complete an order drafted on a full commissary menu. When attempting to access JPay, I'm given an error that I am not set up in the system at the C block kiosk. May I be temporarily moved in the system to do so? Thank you for your assistance. Okay, so he's trying to get it together. That was way back when he, I guess, first got to the IDOC, the prison, I guess. His reply, Mr. Kohberger, I spoke with you at your cell on July 30th, 2025. Getting set up in JPay, yes, can take a few days after moving to a new location. Corporal White is following up with JPay on your access. I kind of think I remember that concern before. So he wants things to work, you know, as is stated immediately. Which I'm like, if he's such a stickler for rules and everything, like, did he miss thou shalt not kill? You know, if he's so everything is supposed to work like it's supposed to. Alrighty, I think that's it for now. I'm just gonna upload maybe these documents to Patreon if you haven't seen them, for people who want to download them. Here we go. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. And again, like I said, I was working on the Lakin Snelling case, that young lady from University of Kentucky. I was trying to get some of her paperwork too. We'll see what documents I can get and upload. I want to do a video potentially about her, other cases I'm following, and continue all the Kohberger updates. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.